Chris Evans is literally only in like one of the big set pieces, which kind of sucks. I wish he was in it a little bit more, but Ryan Gosling, damn it, he's great. Hey guys, welcome back to the video. We're about to go watch The Gray Man. It's just gonna be more of a movie theater vlog and then review at the end. I do movie reviews, TV show reviews, reactions, all that sort of stuff on the channel, so make sure to subscribe and turn kids on if you're new in here and you enjoy all that type of content. But before I get into it, I want to kind of talk about what I think this movie will be like. I actually was very excited for this movie at first when it got announced, and then I watched the first trailer and my excitement went down a little bit more, and then they released the first clip, and now my excitement is at like a very bare minimum. Also, critical reception for this movie has been very, very bad. I wasn't a fan of Cherry, which was the Russo's first movie outside of the MCU, so I have low expectations for this. I even heard that people were falling asleep in the first act of this massive Netflix action blockbuster movie. So I'm about to head into the theater and I'll give you guys my review after. Alright guys, so I just got out of the movie. I'm gonna be honest, it was not as bad as I thought it was gonna be. Honestly, I thought it would be like 10 times worse. I thought it would be completely unwatchable, but I do have a lot of critiques. I do want to firstly say though, it's a good action movie. It's not a bad action movie by any means. If anything, it's above average action. I mean, the action itself is phenomenal, which I'll get into later, but it's an above average action flick overall. My biggest problem comes in the first act because it's entirely just boring. It's not that fun, it's not that entertaining. It's setting up all these relationships and everything that's important in the second and third act, but in the meat itself, it is so boring. I literally could have fallen asleep. Also, for some reason, my theater was so cold. I didn't bring a jacket this time, which is my fault, but it was abnormally cold in there. But that's besides the point. I wanted to go ahead and just get in the meat of this movie, which is the action. The action is absolutely phenomenal. My biggest problem with the clips and the trailers, and like I said before, everything, all the marketing that I saw before I watched this movie, my biggest issue was the visuals. Joe and Anthony Russo have been making movies in the MCU for a while. Cherry was their first movie outside of the MCU. Visually, it was all right. The grading still wasn't good, just like it isn't that good in Infinity War, Winter Soldier, Civil War. They have color grading problems with their visuals. This movie though, there's a few shots that look kind of weird, but for the most part, it is beautiful. I will say they overdo the drone shots. They try to go all Michael Bay on us, and it doesn't work here because it's not necessarily like a big long chase. They use drone shots in hand-to-hand combat, and it just feels weird. It feels weirdly fluid, and I feel like hand-to-hand combat, especially in movies like Winter Soldier, worked best when the camera was in the action. It felt super raw, and it felt like everything was actually happening to the viewer. But here with the drone shots, it kind of felt like a video game you were watching, not in a bad way, but it just felt very odd to use drone shots there. But generally, the action was super entertaining. It was just that the first act barely even had any action. You had this one pretty big set piece in the very beginning that involved fireworks, which is probably the most unique thing in this entire movie. But as you got to the second act and on, it felt like there was one big set piece per act, which works here, but you can also start to tell where the budget starts to dip down, especially since this is a Netflix movie. It also seems like sometimes the CGI was meant for the laptop screen or your phone screen or your TV at home, not the big theater screen. And you can definitely tell that in this one sequence that involves a plane, and it's shot really well. It was actually a lot longer than I thought it would be, because usually plane sequences, they kind of cut around weird spots because it's very hard to film those, especially when you have like a full CG outside of the plane and then a regular practical interior. It was very well executed in my opinion, but I will say it does look a little bit off, and I'm not here to critique CGI. I'm just saying that is something that you're going to want to know if you do go into this in theaters. Other things I want to mention, the cast overall. Chris Evans, I thought he was good in this movie. He wasn't really a standout like I'd hoped. Ana De Armas is basically not even in this movie. She's like barely in it. There's this other guy, I keep forgetting his name. I think it starts with a D, but he plays this Stummill character. He's actually really good. Obviously, all the side characters, other than our like main two, honestly, are pretty generic. But now to talk about Ryan Gosling, he is stellar in this movie. I actually watched Blade Runner 2049 for the first time a few days ago. Absolutely stellar in that movie. I'm gonna try to watch Drive as soon as possible because I'm on a Ryan Gosling kick right now, and this movie just elevated that to 1,000. He is so great in this movie. Definitely is a thing that carries it. in terms of action, he's the one in all the set pieces. Chris Evans is literally only in like one of the big set pieces, which kind of sucks. I wish he was in it a little bit more, but Ryan Gosling, damn it, he's great. There's this father-daughter bond story thing going on in this movie that I was not expecting at all. It definitely gave this movie more of an exposition heavy tone, which kind of was annoying, but other than that, I didn't really mind it at all. There's some great callbacks and jokes and stuff like that in this movie, and in terms of writing overall, it's nothing crazy. It's not that crazy of a story. Like I said before, it's your basic action Netflix blockbuster. Obviously, it has better writing than movies like Red Notice and Six Underground. I think that other spy movie was called that Netflix made. It's better than those by far, but that's not that high of a bar. This movie is just unique in terms of what the actors bring to the story, and I think that's why it's separated a lot. Again, the writing isn't anything too spectacular, but the jokes that the Russos put in there, they're not that bad. I feel like they're good callbacks, and I think everything makes sense. At times, obviously, I cringed at some of these jokes because they weren't the best, but in terms of the story, it all came together very well. I was very happy with what they did in terms of the story, even though, again, it's a basic story, but when you execute a basic story well enough, I think it's fine. But yeah, guys, those are all my thoughts on Netflix's The Gray Man. I just watched it in theaters, but it'll be on Netflix next week. So if you've seen or want to check out The Gray Man, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Also, if you guys are new here and you enjoy all my movie, TV reviews, breakdowns, and reactions, make sure to subscribe and notifications on so you don't miss any time I upload a new video or go live. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.